I don't want this to scare anyone from not getting licensed advice, but just like being wary of it too. Like if you go see an advisor and they're putting you into something that you've never heard of before, like really ask them a lot of questions, ask people around you and make sure they can really justify what they're doing and why. Welcome back to the Get Rich Slow Club. I'm Tash and I'm here with Anna, and today we are talking about the first Guardian and Shield Master fund collapses in terms of super. It is a very sad story and really highlights that there are loopholes and problems with our financial advice and super system, which is not ideal. But we're going to talk through very briefly what has happened. I think it's very quick for people to jump to, wow, it was very silly of them for falling for a scam, but it's actually more complex than that. And then the things you can do to make sure your super is hopefully protected. But first, money wins or losses.
Well, since we're talking about money losses in this episode, I thought a money loss would really fit this. I got a $99 fine for parking in a half an hour parking spot 3 minutes over.
3 minutes?
Wah, wah, wah. Yeah, they're very diligent in the area that I was parking. So I was really sad. And it was funny because I came home and my partner's like, how long do you have to work to pay that off? You know, like when you equate money and time, you know. So it's just a bit, I was very disappointed because no one wants to pay $100 for 3 minutes. But I learned my lesson.
So sad. Maybe money win for me. I accidentally on the parking app, so you can have like a few cars, and I forgot to pick the right car and I started the parking for the wrong car, but I didn't get a fine yet. So hopefully money win for getting away with it because I definitely paid for it. I paid the $12, but the wrong car.
Yeah. Oh no.
I feel like it should know. I feel like we've got enough technology and AI for it to be like, you're in Melbourne and this is the car you drive in Melbourne instead of defaulting to my car in Perth when I'm not in Perth.
Oh yeah. Oh, you got to be careful with those things. Ugh.
Yes.
Speaking of money wins and losses, this is a very sad story. Tash, do you want to kind of give the rundown so that people know what we are actually talking about here?
Yeah, I feel like this has been covered enough by the media. I was very surprised when I stumbled across this story to find out this has been kind of going on for a few years. I also had a few DMs which were really sad to read, but one person said that they'd lost $500,000. They didn't know what to do. They didn't know who to turn to. Yeah, a few stories like that, which is very devastating. So what's happened is there are two funds. One was the First Guardian Master Fund. The other one was the Shield Master Fund. Collectively, 12,000 people are missing around $1 billion in super. It's very sad. Both were marketed as low risk fixed income super investments and they collapsed. I think it was last year, but I was reading through, I don't know if this is confirmed, but apparently there was like concerns back in 2023 and then ASIC started investigating in 2024, but it seems like they were tipped off and some people funneled, I think it was like $270 million offshore. So it's going to be very hard to recover that.
Oh, yeah. How absolutely harrowing for people.
Yeah. Liquidators have been called in. They don't know how much money they're going to recover. It seems like a lot will probably be lost, not confirmed so, and not to be too doom and gloomy, but I just wanted to touch on like what's happened here exactly. So the really sad thing it seems is that some people have paid for financial advice and then advisors have advised them to put their money in these funds.
That's the worst.
Yes.
You're paying someone to help you manage your money and they suggest a product for you, which then ultimately ended up with you losing money.
Yes. And some of the news articles are saying, well, it's not actually a super fund, it's an investment option. So unfortunately, it wasn't in an APRA registered super fund. So you don't get the same protections that an APRA registered super fund has, which is very sad.
And had you not known this, you would think that you're doing everything by the books because you paid someone to help you out. So how does someone know if they're APRA registered?
You can literally go and search it up. So there's a super fund to look up and you can just go type in the name of the super fund. So you can double check that. With things like Host Plus, it's really easy to search. There's a lot of like Host Plus self-managed super funds that try and mimic Host Plus that'll come up. So always check the ABN to make sure it's the right one. But yeah, you can just look on your super fund lookup and have a look there to see if it's APRA registered.
And if you're unsure, it's really important to check out the PDS of whatever your super fund is. So the PDS is the product disclosure statement, and in there, it'll actually have all that information.
There's also on your myGov, if you go into your like ATO portal and then you click on like super, there's a super comparison thing that shows you the APRA registered My Super products. So I think if you are really unsure, that's a good place to start because if it's APRA registered fund, there's more compliance, there's more checks, like there's a lot more stuff they have to go through. And then with My Super, it's even better because they are reviewed every year. And if they fail, there are consequences. So the gold standard, safest thing to do is to have a My Super investment option in an APRA registered fund. I think there's lots going on at the moment where people want to invest in self-managed super funds or other fancy things. But if you are unsure at all and you don't know heaps of stuff around this, go with a My Super product in an APRA registered super fund. So things like Australian Super, Uni Super, Host Plus, they're really big. They're in the media all the time. They're probably like the safer options.
SMSFs are really popular at the moment. I know a lot of people are into them, but there's a lot of compliance, a lot of costs that go into it. And the thing is, you are on the hook for your own money in a lot of ways.
Yes.
So just a big disclaimer for everyone who's like, I want to do an SMSF because I want to have control of my money. There's a lot of risk that also goes into that as well. So you just want to balance the pros and cons of doing that stuff.
The really scary thing about what happened with the First Guardian and Shield stuff was that some people were investing in these dodgy products through Macquarie platforms or other well-known platforms. So some people were kind of duped into thinking their money was with Macquarie when actually Macquarie was just a way to access these funds too. So while yes, you check the super fund or the fund overall, also check the investment options too and where your money is actually going. It can sound quite overwhelming, but here are some red flags to watch out for. So any high pressure sales tactics or cold calls. I know in the First Guardian Shield stuff, they were calling people and pressuring them to change super funds. So if anyone calls you and pressures you, like just say no.
And please talk to your parents and your grandparents about this. Some of the most at-risk vulnerable people are people who are a little bit older, who don't understand technology, who, really just kind of need your support. So please talk to them. I always talk to my parents all the time about the different things that they need to be aware of.
And don't jump into anything. Like if you're not sure, like take some time. There's no pressure. There is no rush to change super funds. Like this should not be a rush, pressureful thing. So I think if anyone's calling you trying to get your business, just know.
Plus, Google is your friend. Google the name scam as well, because you might find a lot of people are like, this is actually a scam. This is a scam website or whatever it might be.
Yeah. And I don't think Host Plus is calling you being like, hey, you should move your super because they don't need to.
Yeah.
Any of the free super health checks or prizes on social media, I've seen quite a few of these pop up and I don't know how they're allowed. So they're like a referral thing and they must get commission somehow, but I really didn't think that was allowed in like the financial product space. So I don't know what they're doing, but I've seen so many social media ads recently being like, boost your super or compare your super or change with us. And it's like a private company. There's also some companies that offer to find and consolidate your lost super for free. You can just do this on the government website.
Yeah, go to the ATO website, do it yourself. You do not have to pay someone to do this for you.
And even if it's free, are they trying to consolidate you into a super fund that's quite dodgy? Like there should not be no middleman for this one.
Or getting additional information from you that you probably shouldn't be giving random strangers.
Yes. Unlicensed people are giving advice. I feel like we all know you should go to someone licensed, but unfortunately, licensed advisors can be dodgy too. I don't want this to scare anyone from not getting licensed advice, but just like being wary of it too. Like if you go see an advisor and they're putting you into something that you've never heard of before, like really ask them a lot of questions, ask people around you and make sure they can really justify what they're doing and why.
And ask questions, ask a lot of questions. Just make sure that you fully understand things and walk away if you're not sure. Take time, go Google things. Don't feel pressured.
As soon as you feel pressure, it's just a no.
Yeah. I'm all about vibes sometimes. If I'm like, I've even done that with doctors, when doctors are like pressuring you to go do something, I was like, nah, you're not my vibes. Walk away.
If someone calls me out of the blue, no. If someone pressures me, no. If someone tries to rush me,
no.
With health stuff, maybe, but not with super.
Yeah, not even with health stuff.
No. No clear product disclosures or unrealistic return promises. If it sounds too good to be true, run away. Super funds cannot guarantee you returns.
And the big thing that you want to look at is the PDS. So again, the product disclosure statement. And you want to look at the TMD, which is the target market determination. So those are the two pieces of documentation that you want to have a thorough read of, have an understanding, know how it's linked to your super, to your money, and what your expectations are as well.
And if something's marketed as low risk, but they're investing in high risk assets, ask questions. And if they're even transparent about it, I don't know how transparent they were in this situation though. So it's easy to be like, ask these questions. They might tell you different things, but be really like cautious of where your money is actually going. Because I think in some of these things, they're invested in real estate when it wasn't quite told to them that way. Common scams to avoid, because there are more and more scams these days. Unexpected calls or text claiming to be the ATO, myGov or Services Australia.
And text messages as well. Don't click on any links.
They're getting very good.
Yeah.
When people call me now, I just say no. Because sometimes banks will call you actually and like actually legit bank stuff and ask you for information to verify who you are. But I just say no and I'll call them back first.
Yeah. If anyone asks for your information, anything to verify, I'm always like, who are you? Where are you calling from? I will call you back. Yeah. And then I call that bank and I'm like, did you actually call?
Yeah.
And sometimes it's legit. It's just that I'm not going to randomly give you my address. And my
it's very dodgy because they are like the banks are kind of encouraging you to do that. And then if you call them back, you've got to go on hold and wait for it and all that kind of stuff. But I'm always more careful with that stuff.
Yeah, you don't want someone to take your identity or your money, right?
Promises of early super access. It's usually very illegal unless special conditions apply. And if that happens, you can usually go through the ATO or through myGov or contact like something more official to ask if you're eligible. Don't use one of these services where they charge you a fee for it.
Yeah, the ATO is your holy grail. You want to go there to get all of your information.
Another red flag, encouragement to transfer into fake or real self-managed super funds or high-risk investments like crypto or foreign currency or bonds. Self-managed super funds aren't good for like 90 to 95% of people. If you don't have like $300,000, $500,000 or more, and you're not really clued in on what you're doing and why, and you don't have the time to manage it and really care about it, or if you're a really rich person with a team of like 5 different people around you, then maybe you consider it. But for most people, it's just not really worth it.
Yeah.
How to protect yourself. So I said earlier, check that it's APRA registered, and also check that you're in a My Super investment product. If you're not sure which one to pick, that's the safest. You can verify licenses. But I went down a bit of a rabbit hole with this. I was in the Facebook group of like the First Guardian, Master Shield people, which is a really like devastating, but a lot of them had a statement of advice from this one advisor telling them to invest in this dodgy fund. And when I looked him up on the ASIC register, he is just there, registered as a financial advisor with no notes, no warnings, no nothing.
That's such a huge challenge, right?
Yes.
Like if you are trying to look up someone and you want to make sure that they're licensed, they're qualified, you might see them there. But surely if there is any kind of grievances, there should be like a little red tick or something against them. I have this issue as well with like childcare providers, right? Like educators, you want to make sure that your kids are safe. You want to make sure your money is safe. Why do we not have a system in place where you can actually look someone up and see if there's any grievances, any issues, and so forth?
And I understand the whole like innocent until proven guilty, but I don't understand why it's like this isn't under investigation, because I feel like this investigation has been happening for quite a while now, but like there's going to be this 2-3 year period before they maybe convict him or maybe he gets like a warning, which is just crazy. Where you think like, I understand that, but also isn't the priority to protect people first? And if this many people are really complaining about you, shouldn't they be like, oh, he's under investigation, and they prioritize investigating him?
Yeah, it's so hard.
So I really don't want to like scare people away from going to an advisor, but definitely Google, I think, or go to someone trusted by someone else, ask around, make sure they're very experienced, like check previous things they've been up to, if they've changed business names recently, check social media, because I think now he's got some bad advisor reviews on Rate My Advisor, which is good, but they only came on like in July recently. So if you checked his profile in June or May, he would have looked like he had 5-star ratings.
And absolutely check the product that they're recommending.
Yes.
Is it right for you?
Yes. And if you're not sure, don't change to something random.
Yeah. Take your time. Google's your friend. Everything we just said.
You can also speak to your accountant or your current super fund directly as well. So you could speak to your accountant and say, have you heard of this thing? Do you think it's a good idea? And while they can't give you advice, they might be able to point out a scam for you or like suggest you get a second opinion because they are more involved in this kind of stuff. You could try and get a second opinion from an advisor, maybe in like a free intro call. You can be like, hey, what are your thoughts on this maybe? And see if they'll give you advice around that, because they might say like, definitely don't do that. We have other advice for you. Call to your current super fund. If you call, of course, they'll try and not get you to change, but just like speak to your current super fund around like the portfolio you have and why.
The other thing is often banks and super funds are well-versed within the scam space. So if there is a scam, they might be able to notify you of it as well. So reach out, ask some questions. It's
also important once you have your super fund all set up to stay on top of it. So regularly log in to the app or online to review your balances and transactions. I heard something on, I think it was Insight. Someone was saying that someone had scammed them and stolen their identity and had their super rolled out of their account.
Oh, that is so horrible.
Yeah, but you don't really know if you're not like
checking it constantly. Yeah. I try to check mine every month. That's kind of been my go-to thing to keep on top of it, right? And every once in a while, change your passwords. It's really important. Change your passwords. Make sure that everything's up to date. Make sure that you are doing this regularly, because if you're using your Instagram and Facebook password also for your super.
Or your Qantas password with that data breach recently.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Stay on top of that. Multi-two-factor authentication as well. You want to be in control of your money as much as possible. So just putting all the checks and balances in place is really important. No pun intended.
Yes. I was trying to summarize this and think like, what's the advice you give someone if they are unsure what to do to pick the safest super fund possible? And I think to just reiterate what we said before, pick APRA registered, pick a really big popular fund and pick a My Super investment option unless you know a lot more and you want to change your mind about that. But I think that is like the gold standard, and nothing is ever completely safe, but that has the most protections and compliance and regulations in place.
Yeah. Like the saying goes, keep it simple, stupid.
Yes.
You just want to keep it as simple as possible. So many of us want to get ahead in our investing. We want to get the best deals. We want to have the best returns, but sometimes just being average and doing what's the simplest potentially can reduce as much risk as
this
possible.
whole thing has made me really angry that the system hasn't worked, because it's sad where super is this compulsory thing where you are forced to invest your money, and we don't provide education in high schools for this, and we expect people to trust advisors, which we should be able to trust them, but we can't sometimes apparently. And then this has gone and happened. I just feel like there should be more in place where this doesn't end up happening.
Well, especially if you're about to retire, this is what you've been banking on.
Oh my God, the stories. There was like someone who had just retired and they had to go to Centrelink and try and prove that their super had stopped coming in because they were getting a pension from their super. Like imagine waking up one day and you just don't get your super pension anymore. And you've got to go and register for Centrelink for the first time.
And what do you do? What do you do at that age when you were planning on taking some time off? You know what I mean? Or not time off, like you're just like planning on living your life. You've worked your whole life. Let's say you have health issues. Like this stuff is absolutely devastating. And this is where I think it's so important to not only educate people on this, but also make sure that our government is taking control of some of these things and changing things so that we can be safer.
And investigating quicker.
Yes.
I can't believe this hasn't been investigated quicker. Why are there not black marks against these advisors who are involved? I know that it is complex, but like surely we can have more regulation resources that go towards this.
Yeah.
Something else that horrified me was the liquidators have apparently said that if you pay a fee, you'll be ahead of the line to get your money back if they recover anything. Ugh. And some people in my DMs are saying like, well, obviously liquidators need to be paid, blah, blah, blah. But I think it's just like such an unfair system where if you're the person who's lost your retirement savings completely, maybe you don't have much savings outside of that, you're kind of put at the back of the queue, which is just crazy to me. And I understand liquidators need to get their money back, but yeah, it just feels like a very unfair system.
It's kind of like monopolizing on the most vulnerable. You know what I mean? Like just taking advantage of that. And if you don't have the money, right? Like because you lost all your money, it's all in super. How are you going to find the means to be able to try to get ahead? And it's not even guaranteed.
Especially when people try and do the right thing by paying for advice. That's the bit I'm really stuck on, where it's like someone has saved the money, paid for advice because they're trying to do the right thing, and then they're trusting Macquarie or whoever it is, the platform where they bought these investments on, and then it's just gone.
Oh, yeah. It's really hard reading these kind of things. And that's why we kind of do what we do. We want to educate people. We want you to be as safe as possible. And
we want you to know the questions to ask an advisor. We want you to like feel confident enough to be like, hey, actually, this doesn't fit my risk profile. Like this seems really risky. Like we want you to be able to have those conversations with people.
And if it doesn't feel right, go somewhere else.
If someone calls you, that's just the rule. If someone calls you, no.
Yeah. Okay. A lot of takeaways here. Stay safe out there, people.
Yeah. I'm really sorry if this has happened to you or to one of your family members.
Yeah.
Like it must be a really stressful time. Like I can't even imagine how stressful that would be to log in and just see that your retirement savings are gone.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well,
bye.
Bye.
Thanks so much for joining us. If you found this episode helpful, please rate us 5 stars, write a review, or share with a friend. If you're new to investing, make sure to listen to our first 10 episodes. Follow us at Get Rich Slow Club or Tash at Tash Invest or me at Ana Christina.
The Get Rich Slow Club podcast is a collaboration between Tash Edgman from Tash Invest and Ana Christina from Perla. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to investing. So make sure you check out our financial services guides and read the product disclosure statement and target market determination for any investments you're considering. See our show notes for more info. Any advice is general and does not consider your financial situation, needs, or objectives, so consider whether it's appropriate for you. This show was brought to you by Natasha Etchman, who is an authorised representative 1299881 of Guideway Financial Services, AFSL 420367, and Perla, who is an authorised representative 1281540 of Sanlam Private Wealth, AFSL 337927. The Get Rich Slow Club acknowledges the traditional custodians of the land we record on. From coast to coast, across land, waters, and communities, we pay our respects to elders past, present, and emerging.